The Ancient Wisdom by Annie Besant. Chapter 2. The Astral Plane. The astral plane is the region of the universe next to the physical, if the word next may be permitted in such a connection. Life there is more active than on the physical plane, and form is more plastic. The spirit matter of that plane is more highly vitalized and finer than any grade of spirit matter in the physical world. For, as we have seen, the ultimate physical atom, the constitute of the rarest physical ether, has for its sphere-wall, innumerable aggregations of the coarsest astral matter. The word next in quotes, is, however, inappropriate, as suggesting the idea that the planes of the universe are arranged as concentric circles, one ending where the next begins. Rather, they are concentric, interpenetrating spheres, not separated from each other by distance, but by difference of constitution. As air permeates water, as ether permeates the densest solid, so does astral matter permeate all physical. The astral world is above us, below us, on every side of us, through us. We live and we move in it. But it is intangible, invisible, inaudible, imperceptible, because the prison of the physical body shuts us away from it, the physical particles being too gross to be set in vibration by astral matter. In this chapter, we shall study the plane in its general aspects, leaving on one side for separate consideration those special conditions of life on the astral plane surrounding the human entities who are passing through it on their way from earth to heaven. And there's an asterisk here, and so there's a footnote, and it says Devachan, D-E-V-A-C-H-A-N, Devachan, the happy or the bright side, is the Theosophical name for heaven. Kamaloka, K-A-M-A-L-O-K-A, the place of desire, is the name given to the conditions of immediate life on the astral plane. The spirit matter of the astral plane exists in 7 subdivisions, as we have seen in the spirit matter of the physical. There, as here, there are numberless combinations forming the astral solids, liquids, gases, and ethers. But most material forms there have a brightness, a translucency, as compared to forms here, which have caused the epithet astral or starry to be applied to them. An epithet which is, on the whole, misleading, but is too firmly established by use to be changed. As there are no specific names for the subdivisions of astral spirit matter, we may use the terrestrial designations. The main idea to be grasped is that the astral objects are combinations of astral matter, as physical objects are combinations of physical matter, and that the astral world scenery much resembles that of the earth in consequence of its being largely made up of the astral duplicates of physical objects. One peculiarity, however, arrests and confuses the untrained observer, partly because of the translucency of astral objects, and partly because of the nature of astral vision. Consciousness being less hampered by the finer astral matter than when encased in the terrestrial, everything is transparent. Its back is as visible as its front, its inside as its outside. Some experience is necessary. Now, some experience is needed, therefore, ere objects are correctly seen, and a person who has developed astral vision but has not yet had much experience in its use is apt to receive the most topsy-turvy impressions and to fall into the most astounding blunders. Another striking and at first bewildering characteristic of the astral world is the swiftness with which forms, especially when unconnected with any terrestrial matrix, change their outlines. An astral entity will change its whole appearance with the most startling rapidity, for astral matter takes form under the very impulse of thought, the life swiftly remolding the form to give itself new expression. As the great life wave of the evolution of form passed downward through the astral plane and constituted on that plane the third elemental kingdom, the monad drew round itself combinations of astral matter, giving to these combinations, entitled elemental essence, a peculiar vitality and the characteristic of responding to and instantly taking shape under the impulse of thought vibrations. This elemental essence exists in hundreds of varieties on every subdivision of the astral plane, as though the air became visible here, as indeed it may be seen in quivering waves under great heat, and were in constant undulatory motion with changing colors, like pearl, mother of pearl. This vast atmosphere of elemental essence is ever answering to vibrations caused by thoughts, feelings, and desires, and is thrown into commotion by a rush of any of these like bubbles in boiling water. The duration of the form depends on the strength and the impulse to which it owes its birth. The clearness of its outline depends on the precision of the thinking, and the color depends on the quality, intellectual, devotional, passional, of the thought. The vague, loose thoughts, which are so largely produced by undeveloped minds, gather around themselves loose clouds of elemental essence when they arrive in the astral world and drift about, attached hither and thither to other clouds of similar nature, clinging around the astral bodies of persons whose magnetism attracts them, either good or evil, and after a while disintegrating to form again part of the general atmosphere of elemental essence. While they maintain a separate existence, they are living entities with bodies of elemental essence and thoughts as the ensouling lives, and they are called artificial elements, or thought forms. Clear, precise thoughts have each their own definite shape, with sharp, clean outlines, and show an endless variety of designs. They are shaped by vibrations set up by thought, just as on the physical plane we find figures which are shaped by vibrations set up by sound. Voice figures, in quotes, voice-figures, offer a very fair analogy for thought figures, also in quotes, thought-figures. So voice figures offer a very fair analogy for thought figures. For nature, with all her infinite variety, is very conservative of principles and reproduces the same methods of working on plane after plane in her realms. These clearly defined artificial elementals have a longer and much more active life than their cloudy brethren, exercising a far stronger influence on the astral bodies, and through them on the minds of those to whom they are attracted. They set up in them vibrations similar to their own, and thus thoughts spread from mind to mind without terrestrial expression. More than this, they can be directed by the thinker towards any person he desires to reach, their potency depending on the strength of his will and the intensity of his mental power. Among average people, the artificial elementals created by feeling or desire are more vigorous and more definite than those created by thought. Thus, an outburst of anger will cause a very definitely outlined and powerful flash of red, and sustained anger will make a dangerous elemental, red in color and pointed, barbed, or otherwise qualified to injure. Love, according to its quality, will set up forms more or less beautiful in color and design, all shades of crimson to the most exquisite and soft hues of rose, like the palest blushes of the sunset or the dawn clouds, or tenderly strong protective shapes. Many a mother's loving prayers go to hover around her son as angel forms, turning aside from him evil influences that perchance his own thoughts are attracting. It is characteristic of these artificial elementals that they are directed by the will towards any particular person, that they are animated by the one impulse of carrying out the will of their creator. A protective elemental will hover around its object, seeking any opportunity of warding off evil or attracting good, not consciously, but by a blind impulse, as finding there a line of least resistance. So also the elemental ensouled by a malignant thought will hover around its victim, seeking opportunity to injure. But neither the one nor the other can make any impression unless there be in the astral body of the object something akin to themselves, something that can answer accordingly to their vibrations, and thus enable them to attach themselves. If there be nothing in him of matter cognate to their own, then by a law of their nature they rebound from him along the path they pursued in going to him, the magnetic trace that they have left, and rush to their Creator with a force proportionate to that of their projection. Thus, a thought of deadly hatred, failing to strike the object at which it was darted, has been known to slay its sender, while good thoughts sent to an unworthy return as blessings to him that poured them forth. A very slight understanding of the astral world will thus act as the most powerful stimulus to right thinking, and will render heavy the sense of responsibility in regard to the thoughts, feelings, and desires that we let loose into this astral realm. Ravening beasts of prey, rending and devouring, are too many of the thoughts with which men people the astral plane. But they err from ignorance. They know not what they do. One of the objects of Theosophical teaching, partly lifting up the veil of the unseen world, is to give man a sounder basis for conduct, a more rational appreciation of the causes of which the effects only are seen in the terrestrial world. And few of its doctrines are more important in their ethical bearing than this of the creation and direction of thought forms or artificial elementals. For through it, man learns that his mind does not concern himself alone, that his thoughts do not affect himself alone, but that he is ever sending out angels and devils into the world of men, for whose creation he is responsible, and for whose influence he is held accountable. Let men then know the law and guide their thoughts thereby. If, instead of taking artificial elementals separately, we take them in the mass, it is easy to realize the tremendous effect they have in producing national and race feelings, and thus biasing and prejudicing the mind. We all grow up surrounded by an atmosphere crowded with elementals, embodying certain ideas, national prejudices, national ways of looking at all questions, national types of feelings and thoughts. All these play on us from our birth and before. We see everything through this atmosphere. Every thought is more or less refracted by it, and our own astral bodies are vibrating in accord with it. Hence, the same idea will look quite different to a Hindu, an Englishman, a Spaniard, or a Russian. Some conceptions easy to the one will be almost impossible to the other. Customs instinctively attractive to the one are instinctively odious to the other. We are all dominated by our national atmosphere, i.e., by that portion of the astral world immediately surrounding us. The thoughts of others, cast much in the same mold, play upon us and call out from us synchronous vibrations. They intensify the points in which we accord with our surroundings and flatten away the differences. And this ceaseless action upon us through the astral body impresses on us the national hallmark and traces channels for mental energies into which they readily flow. Sleeping and waking, these currents play upon us, and our very unconsciousness of their action makes it the more effective, as most people are receptive rather than initiative in their nature. They act almost as automatic reproducers of the thoughts which reach them, and thus the national atmosphere is continually intensified. When a person is beginning to be sensitive to astral influences, he will occasionally find himself suddenly overpowered or assailed by a quite inexplicable and seemingly irrational dread, which swoops down upon him, and even paralyzing force. Fight against it as he may, yet he feels it and perhaps resents it. Probably there are a few who have not experienced this fear to some extent, the uneasy dread of an invisible something, the feeling of a presence, of not being alone. This arises partly from a certain hostility which animates the natural elemental world against the human on account of the various destructive agencies devised by mankind on the physical plane and reacting on the astral, but it is also largely due to the presence of so many artificial elementals of an unfriendly kind, bred by human minds. Thoughts of hatred, jealousy, revenge, bitterness, suspicion, discontent go up by the millions, crowding the astral plane with artificial elementals whose whole life is made of these feelings. How much also is there of vague mistrust and suspicion poured out by the ignorant against all whose ways and appearances are alien and unfamiliar, the blind distrust of all foreigners, the surly contempt extending in many districts even towards inhabitants of another country. Those things also contribute evil influences to the astral world. There being so much of these things among us, we create a blindly hostile army on the astral plane, and this is answered in our own astral bodies by a feeling of dread set up by the antagonistic vibrations that are sensed but not understood. Outside the class of artificial elementals, the astral world is thickly populated, even excluding, as we do for the present, all the human entities who have lost their physical bodies by death. There are great hosts of natural elementals or nature spirits divided into 5 main classes: the elementals of the ether, the fire, the air, the water, and the earth. And the last 4 groups have been termed in medieval occultism the salamanders, sylphs, undines, Undines, and gnomes. Needless to say, there are 2 other classes completing the 7, not concerning us here, and they are still unmanifested. These are the true elementals, or creatures of the elements, earth, water, air, fire, and ether, and they are severally concerned in the carrying on of the activities connected with their own element. They are the channels through which work the divine energies in these several fields, the living expressions of the law in each. At the head of each division is a great being, the captain of a mighty host, the directing and guiding intelligence of the whole department of nature, which is administered and energized by the class of elementals under his control. And here there's a footnote. And this is the footnote. Called a deva, D-E-V-A, or God by the Hindus, the student may like to have the Sanskrit names of the 5 gods of the manifested elementals. Indra, I-N-D-R-A, Lord of the Akasha, or ether of space. Agni, A-G-N-I, Lord of fire. Pavana, P-A-V-A-N-A, Lord of air. Varuna, V-A-R-U-N-A, Lord of water. Shitsi, K-S-H-I-T-I, Lord of earth. Thus, Agni, the fire god, is a great spiritual entity concerned with the manifestation of fire on all the planes of the universe and carries on his administration through the host of fire elementals. By understanding the nature of these, or knowing the methods of their control, and the so-called miracles or magical feats are worked, which from time to time are recorded in the public press, whether they are avowed the results of magical arts or are done by the aid of spirits, as in the case of the late Mr. Home, H-O-M-E, who could unconcernedly pick a red-hot coal out of a blazing fire with his fingers and hold it in his hand unhurt. Levitation, the suspension of a heavy body in the air without visible support, and walking on the water have been done by the aid, respectively, of the elementals of the air and the water, although another method is more often employed. As the elementals enter the human body, one or another predominating according to the nature of the person, each human being has relations with these elementals, the most friendly to him being those whose element is preponderant in him. The effects of this fact are often noted and are popularly ascribed to luck, in quotes, luck. A person has a lucky hand in making plants grow, in lighting fires, in finding underground water, etc., etc. Nature is ever jostling us with her occult forces, but we are slow to take her hints. Tradition sometimes hides a truth in a proverb or a fable, but we have grown beyond all such superstitions. We find also on the astral plane nature spirits, less accurately termed elementals, who are concerned with the building of forms in the mineral, vegetable, animal, and human kingdoms. There are nature spirits who build up minerals, who guide the vital energies in plants, and who, molecule by molecule, form the bodies of the animal kingdom. They are concerned with the making of astral bodies of minerals, plants, and animals, as well as that of the physical. These are the fairies and elves of legends, the little people, who play so large a part in the folklore of every nation, the charming, irresponsible children of nature, whom science has coldly relegated to the nursery, but who will be replaced in their own grade of nature order by the wiser scientists of a later day. Only poets and occultists believe in them just now. Poets, by the intuition of their genius; occultists, by the vision of their trained inner senses. The multitude laugh at both, most of all at the occultist, but it matters not. Wisdom shall be justified of her children. The play of the life currents in the etheric doubles of the forms of mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms awoke out of latency the astral matter involved in the structure of their atomic and molecular constituents. It began to thrill in a very limited way in the in the minerals and the monad of form, exercising his organizing power, drew in materials from the astral world, and these were built by the nature spirits into a loosely constituted mass, the mineral astral body. In the vegetable world, the astral bodies are a little more organized, and their special characteristics of feeling begin to appear. Dull and diffused sensations of well-being and discomfort are observable in most plants as a result of the increasing activity of the astral body. They dimly enjoy the air, the rain, and the sunshine, and gropingly seek them, while they shrink from noxious conditions. Some seek the light, some seek the darkness. They answer to stimuli, and they adapt themselves to external conditions, some showing plainly a sense of touch. In the animal kingdom, the astral body is more developed, reaching in the higher members of that kingdom a sufficiently definite organization to cohere for some time after the death of the physical body and to lead an independent existence on the astral plane. The nature spirits concerned with the building of the animal and human astral bodies have been given a specific name, the specific name of desire elementals. And then there's a footnote here. It says, Kamadevas, 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 they are called desire gods. Okay, so let me start that sentence again. The nature spirits concerned with the building of the animal and the human astral bodies have been given the special name of desire elementals because they are strongly animated by desires of all kinds and constantly build themselves into the astral bodies of animals and men. They also use the varieties of elemental essence similar to those of which their own bodies are composed to construct the astral bodies of animals. Those bodies thus acquiring as interwoven parts the centers of sensation and of the various passional activities. These centers are stimulated into functioning by impulses received by the dense physical organs and transmitted by the etheric physical organs to the astral body. Not until the astral center is reached does the animal feel pleasure or pain. Not until the astral center is reached does the animal feel pleasure or pain. A stone may be struck, but it will feel no pain. It has dense and etheric physical molecules, but its astral body is unorganized. The animal feels pain from a blow because he possesses the astral centers of sensation, and the desire elementals have woven into him their own nature. As a new consideration enters into the work of these elementals with the human astral body, we will finish our survey of the inhabitants of the astral plane ere studying this more complicated astral form. The desire bodies or astral bodies of animals are found, as has just been stated, to lead an independent, though fleeting existence on the astral plane after death has destroyed their physical counterparts. In civilized in quotes, in civilized countries, these animal astral bodies add much to the general feeling of hostility which was spoken of above, for the organized butchery of animals in slaughterhouses, and by sport sends millions upon millions of these annually into the astral world, full of horror, terror, and shrinking from men. The comparatively few creatures that are allowed to die in peace and quietness are lost in the vast hordes of the murdered, and from the currents set up by these, there rain down influences from the astral world on the human and animal races, which drive them yet further apart and engender instinctive distrust and fear on the one side and lust of inflicting cruelty on the other. These feelings have been much intensified of late years by the coldly devised methods of scientific torture called vivisection, the unmentionable barbarities of which have introduced new horrors into the astral world by their reaction on the culprits, as well as having increased the gulf between man and his poor relations. Apart from what we call the normal population of the astral world, there are passing travelers in it, led there by their work, whom we cannot leave entirely without mention. Some of these come from our own terrestrial world, while others are visitors from loftier regions. Of the former, many are initiates of various grades, some belonging to the Great White Lodge, the Himalayan or Tibetan Brotherhood, as it is often called, while others are members of different occult lodges throughout the world, ranging from white through all shades of gray to black. All these are men living in physical bodies who have learned to leave the physical encasement at will and to function in full consciousness in the astral body. They are of all grades of knowledge and virtue, beneficent and maleficent, strong and weak, gentle and ferocious. There are also many younger aspirants, still uninitiated, who are learning to use the astral vehicle and who are employed in works of benevolence or malevolence, according to the path that they are seeking to tread. After these, we have the psychics of varying degrees of development, some fairly alert, others dreamy and confused, wandering about, while their physical bodies are asleep or entranced, unconscious of their external surroundings, wrapped in their own thoughts, drawn, as it were, within their astral shell, are millions of drifting astral bodies inhabited by conscious entities, while physical frames are sunk in sleep. As we shall see presently, the consciousness in its astral vehicle escapes when the body sinks into sleep and passes on to the astral plane, but it is not conscious of its surrounding until the astral body is sufficiently developed to function independently of the physical. Occasionally is seen on this plane a disciple who has passed through death and is awaiting an almost immediate reincarnation under the direction of his master. He is, of course, in the enjoyment of full consciousness and is working like other disciples who have merely slipped off their bodies in sleep. At a certain stage, a disciple is allowed to reincarnate very quickly after death, and under these circumstances, he has to await on the astral plane a suitable opportunity for rebirth. Passing through the astral plane also are the human beings who are on their way to reincarnation. They will again be mentioned later on, and they concern themselves in no way with the general life of the astral plane. The desire elementals, however, who have an affinity with them from their past passional and sensational activities, gather around them, assisting in the building of the new astral body for the coming earth life. We must now turn to the consideration of the human astral body during the period of existence in this world and study its nature, constitution, as well as its relations with the astral realm. We will take the astral body of A, an undeveloped man, B, an average man, C, A spiritually developed man. A. An undeveloped man's astral body is cloudy, loosely organized, vaguely outlined mass of astral spirit matter containing materials, both astral matter and elemental essence, drawn from the subdivisions of the astral plane, but with great predominance of substances from the lower, so that it is dense and coarse in texture, fit to respond to all the stimuli connected with the passions and appetites. The colors caused by the rates of vibration are dull, muddy, and dusky, browns, dull reds, dirty greens, and these are the predominant hues. There is no play of light or quickly changing flashes of color through this astral body, but the various passions show themselves as heavy surges, or, when violent, as flashes. Thus, sexual passion will lead a wave of muddy crimson, rage, a flash of lurid red. The astral body is larger than the physical, extending around it in all directions 10 or 12 inches. In such a case as we are considering, the centers of the organs of sense are definitely marked and are active when working on from without. But in quiescence, the life streams are sluggish, and the astral body, stimulated neither from the physical nor mental world, is drowsy and indifferent. It is a constant characteristic of the undeveloped state that activity is prompted from without rather than from the inner consciousness. A stone, to be moved, must be pushed. A plant moves under the attractions of light and moisture. An animal becomes active when stirred by hunger. A poorly developed man needs to be prompted in similar ways. Not till the mind is partly grown does it begin to initiate action. The centers of higher activity related to the independent functioning of the astral senses are scarcely visible. A man at this stage requires for his evolution violent sensations of every kind to arouse the nature and stimulate it into activity. Heavy blows from the outer world, both of pleasure and pain, are wanted to awaken and spur to action. The more numerous and violent the sensations, the more he can be made to feel, the better for his growth. At this stage, quality matters little. Quantity and vigor are the main requisites. The beginnings of this man's mortality will be in his passions. A slight impulse of unselfishness in his relations to wife or child or friend will be the first step upwards by causing vibrations in the finer matter of his astral body and attracting into it more elemental essence of an appropriate kind. The astral body is constantly changing its materials under this play of the passions, appetites, desires, and emotions. All good ones strengthen the finer parts of the body, shake out some of the coarser constituents, draw into it the subtler materials, and attract around it elementals of a beneficent kind who aid in the renovating process. All evil ones have diametrically opposite effects, strengthening the coarser, expelling the finer, drawing in more of the former, attracting elementals who help in the deteriorating process. The man's moral and intellectual powers are so embryonic in the case that we are considering that most of the building and changing of this astral body may be said to be done for him rather than by him. It depends more on his external circumstances than on his own free will, For, as just said, it is characteristic of a low stage of development that a man is moved from without and through the body much more than from within and by the mind. It is a sign of considerable advance when a man begins to be moved by the will, by his own energy, self-determined, instead of being moved by desire, i.e., by a response to an external attraction or repulsion. In sleep, the astral body enveloping the consciousness slips out of the physical vehicle, leaving the dense and etheric bodies to slumber. At this stage, however, the consciousness is not awake in the astral body, lacking the strong contacts that spur it while in the physical frame. And the only thing that affect the astral body, the only things that affect the astral body may be elementals of a coarser sort that may be set up within the vibrations that are reflected to the etheric and dense brains and induce dreams of animal pleasures. The astral body floats just over the physical, held by its strong attraction, and cannot go far away from it. Part B. In an average moral and intellectual man, the astral body shows an immense advance on that just described. It is larger in size, its materials are more balanced in quality, the presence of rarer kinds giving a certain luminous quality to the whole, while the expression of the higher emotions sends playing through it a beautiful ripple of color. Its outline is clear and definite instead of vague and shifting, as in the former case, and it assumes the likeness of its owner. It is obviously becoming a vehicle for the inner man with definite organization and stability, a body fit and ready to function, able to maintain itself apart from the physical. While retaining great plasticity, it yet has a normal form to which it continually recurs when any pressure is removed that may have caused it to change its outline. Its activity is constant, and hence it's in perpetual vibration, showing endless varieties of changing hues. Also the wheels in quotes, are clearly visible, though not yet functioning. It responds quickly to all the contacts coming to it through the physical body and is stirred by the influences rained on it from the conscious entity within, memory and imagination stimulating it to action and causing it to become the prompter of the body to activity instead of only being moved by it. Its purification proceeds along the same lines as in the former case, the expulsion of lower constituents by setting up vibrations antagonistic to them, and the drawing in of finer materials in their place. But now the increased moral and intellectual development of the man puts the building almost entirely under his control, for he is no longer driven hither and thither by stimuli from external nature, but reasons, judges, and resists or yields as he thinks well. By the exercise of well-directed thought, he can rapidly affect the astral body, and hence its improvement can proceed apace. Nor is it necessary that he should understand the modus operandi in order to bring about this effect, any more than a man should understand the laws of light in order to see. In sleep, this well-developed astral body slips as usual from its physical encasement, but is by no means held captive by it, as in the former case. It roams around the astral world, drifted hither and thither by the astral currents, while the consciousness within it, not yet able to direct its movements, is awake, engaged in the enjoyment of its own mental images and mental activities, and able also to receive impressions through its astral covering and to change them into mental pictures. In this way, man may gain knowledge when out of the body and may subsequently impress it on the brain as a vivid dream or vision, or without this link of memory, it may filter through into the brain consciousness. C. The astral body of the spiritually developed man is composed of the finest particles of each subdivision of astral matter. the higher kinds largely predominating in amount. It is, therefore, a beautiful object in luminosity and color, hues not known on earth, showing themselves under the impulses thrown into it by the purified mind. The wheels of fire are now seen to deserve their names, and their whirling motion denotes the activity of the higher senses. Such a body is, in the full sense of the words, a vehicle of consciousness, for in the course of evolution it has been vivified in every organ and brought under the complete control of its owner. When in it he leaves the physical body, there is no break of consciousness. He merely shakes off his heavier vesture and finds himself unencumbered by its weight. He can move anywhere within the astral sphere with intense rapidity and is no longer bound by the narrow terrestrial conditions. His body answers to his will, reflects and obeys his thought. His opportunities for serving humanity are thus enormously increased, and his powers are directed by his virtue and his beneficence. The absence of gross particles in his astral body renders it incapable of responding to the promptings of lower objects of desire, and they turn away from him as beyond their attraction. The whole body vibrates only in answer to the higher emotions. His love has grown into devotion. His energy is curbed by patience. Gentle, calm, serene, full of power, but with no trace of restlessness. Such a man, all the Siddhis stand ready to serve. Let me spell Siddhis. Siddhis. All the Siddhis stand ready to serve. The astral body forms the bridge over the gulf which separates consciousness from the physical brain. Impacts received by the sense organs and transmitted, as we have seen, to the dense and etheric centers pass thence to the corresponding astral centers. Here they are worked on by the elemental essence and are transmuted into feelings and are then presented to the inner man as objects of consciousness. The astral vibrations awakening, corresponding vibrations in the material of the mental body. By these successive gradations in fineness of spirit matter, the heavy impacts of terrestrial objects can be transmitted to the conscious entity, and in turn the vibrations set up by his thoughts can pass along the same bridge to the physical brain and there induce physical vibrations corresponding to the mental. This is the regular, normal way in which consciousness receives impressions from without and in turn sends impressions outward. By this constant passage of vibrations to and fro, the astral body is chiefly developed. This current plays upon it from within and from without. It evolves in organization and subserves its general growth. By this, it becomes larger, finer in texture, more definitely outlined, and more organized interiorly. Trained thus to respond to consciousness, it gradually becomes fit to function as its separate vehicle and to transmit to it clearly the vibrations received directly from the astral world. Most readers will have had some little experience of these impressions coming into consciousness from without that do not arise from any physical impact and that are very quickly verified by some external occurrence. These are frequently impressions that can reach the astral body directly and are transmitted by it to the consciousness, and such impressions are often the nature of previsions, which very quickly prove themselves to be true. When the man is far progressed, though the stage varies much according to other circumstances, links are set up between the physical and the astral and the mental so that the consciousness works unbrokenly from one state to another, memory having in it none of the lapses which in the ordinary man interpose a period of unconsciousness in passing from one plane to another. The man can then also freely exercise astral senses while the consciousness is working in the physical body, so that these enlarged avenues of knowledge become an appendage of his waking consciousness. Objects which were before matters of faith become matters of knowledge, and he can personally verify the accuracy of much of the theosophical teaching as to the lower regions of the invisible world. When man is analyzed into principles, i.e., into modes of manifesting life, his four lower principles, termed lower quaternary, Quaternary, lower quaternary, are said to function on the astral and physical planes. The fourth principle is Kama, Kama, desire, and it is the life manifesting in the astral body and conditioned by it. It is characterized by the attitude of feeling, whether in the rudimentary form of sensation or in the complex form of emotion or any of the grades that lie in between. This is summed up as desire, that which is attracted or repelled by objects, according as they give pleasure or pain to the personal self. The third principle as prana, Prana, the life specialized for the support of the physical organism. The second principle is the etheric double, and the first is the dense body. These three function on the physical plane. In H.P. Blavatsky's later classifications, she removes both prana and the dense physical body from the rank of principles. Prana as being universal life, and the dense physical body as being the mere counterpart of the etheric, and made of constantly changing materials built into the etheric matrix. Taking this view, we have the grand philosophic conception of the one life, capital O, capital L, the one life, the one self, manifesting as man and presenting varying and transitory differences according to the conditions imposed on it by the bodies which it vivifies, itself remaining the same in the center but showing different aspects when looked at from the outside. According to the kinds of matter in one body or another, the physical body, it is prana, energizing, controlling, and coordinating. In the astral body, it is kama, feeling, enjoying, suffering. We shall find it in yet other aspects as we pass to higher planes. But the fundamental idea is the same throughout, and it is another of these root ideas of Theosophy, which firmly grasped serve as guiding clues in this most tangled world. And that concludes chapter 2. Wow. Wow. Yes, that explains a lot. That is an amazing chapter. I was wowed by the first chapter, but this last one is even more amazing. Oh, okay. So chapter 3 is called Kamaloka, Kamaloka, Kamaloka. And, wow, I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. My goodness. Yes, so like and subscribe, and see you soon.